Today, we're looking at a super tasty addition to any bento or a standalone sandwich type lunch with no bread. My name is Willow and this is You Need a Bento. Let's make lunch! So to start, we're going to use our Spam. It's cut into thin pieces. You don't want it too thick. And we're just going to fry it. Nice hot pan. I've got mine on to about medium. You may have to do yours in 2 rounds instead of 1, like I will. I'm using a smaller pan, it shows up better on camera, but also I don't like the big pan. Now you don't want them getting too dark or they won't absorb the sauce. And since we cut them small, they will brown faster. And now that they're all as shrunk as they're gonna be, we're gonna take them and put them back in the pan. It's okay to layer them a little bit here. And please be careful when you're handling hot things like these. I have less sensitivity in my fingertips because of working in the kitchen for so long. But you may have full sensitivity, which is a good thing, but you will also burn your fingers. Now that we've turned the heat off, I'm going to take the teriyaki sauce from before, and we're just going to pour it in. And just let it do its thing, including fogging the lens. It'll thicken up, coat your pieces very nicely, and this sauce is just fine to use later if you don't mind the slight taste of Spam. And there, we're going to let that sit while we work on our rice. So now for shaping, we're going to start with the classic musubi. It can be a ton of fun if you cut your musubi into like little piggy shapes or something. Pigs, bears, anything like that will fit. And when I do my shaping, I wrap it in plastic because that's not going to stick to me or the container. It's be generally pretty easy to manage. There. Get it all wrapped up, just like you would with a rice ball. And if you see on this container, I've got black marks right where the size of the musubi is. And that way I can keep it in the right shape and size. Now with musubi, all the rules about not squishing your rice don't really apply. You need it to be as tight as possible, especially if you're not wrapping your musubi, because then you'll have more to fall apart. So there it is, but try not to mush it too much, but there. And you check your size. There we go. And this one I find is better enjoyed, say, at the table, because the sauce can seep in. But there he is. Looks like a little sushi. Next, because the rice isn't that hot, I'm going to use the same plastic. We're going to do the same, but do a full wrap with the nori. This would be a lot more portable because you can rely on it to stay together. Okay. But again, you still want to make sure your rice is good and firm. And I made my rice a little bit dry just for this so that it doesn't fall apart on me.
Just a tiny history lesson for today. Spam was introduced from the US to many places during World War II and the occupations that followed. Specifically, Guam, Hawaii, Okinawa, and the Philippines. Canned meat was sent as part of relief and to incarceration camps as part of their rations. The food item was then incorporated into the native diet and can be seen in many of the local dishes to this very day. In Korea, a famous dish showcasing that concept is army-based stew, which is amazing. A Japanese-American woman is credited with creating Spam musubi, and it has been a loved dish ever since.
To help this bottom bit stick on, you just use a little bit of water. Not much so that you get a mushy nori, but enough that it sticks. There you go. Now this last one's a little different. We're going to have to fight with plastic wrap. But it makes your life so much easier. So you're spreading out your plastic wrap and grab a full sheet of nori. I tend to put mine in kind of a diamond shape just because the way it gets wrapped. And you're going to fill your little container fully. So it should be 2 widths plus the length of your Spam. And this should be firm, but it doesn't have to be super firm like the other ones. And so we're going to put this in the middle in a diamond shape from the nori, and we're going to get 2 of these. Now you could add more rice than I have or less. It doesn't really matter. It's completely up to you. Okay. Now we're going to take 2 slices of our Spam, butt them up against each other. That goes on top. If your rice is sticking to your mold, put a little water on the bottom. And now I usually use the rice paddle, and this is going to look a little bit weird until it sits a bit. Once the nori gets moist, it stops cracking and forms a little better. It's okay if it cracks here, as long as you can get it around. And this should be done with warm rice so that it does take shape and it gives it a little bit of moisture so that the nori behaves. I'm going to fold it in. I know my hands are in the way, but what I'm doing is pushing in on it and then folding this up so it retains that shape. And then here, you'll notice I'm pushing in on it. Sorry, you can't see that. Pushing in on it to make sure all the nori is in contact with the rice. And there. This is best left until lunchtime. The other 2 you can eat right away. But you hear the crunching? That's the nori not quite taking the shape yet. It's in about an hour, it'll be perfect.
I hope you try it out and see what you think. I'd love to hear all about it. Thanks so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you next time.